5. Vocab Week 5. It's very early in the morning. My voice is not very James Bond-like. Let's do some vocab. First, we have pristine. Oh my gosh. We'll explain the picture in a second. Pristine is an adjective. If something is pristine, it's as good as new. It's immaculate and it's perfect. Now, sometimes this word's used to describe something that's absolutely clean and fresh, which isn't quite what it means. It should mean like original condition and perfect, so you can see clean coming out of it, but sometimes be like the pristine air, which, okay, yeah, I guess, but not really. But here's the thing. I did a Google image search for pristine, and this picture appeared. So if I have to have nightmares for the rest of my life, now you do too. I'm not sure what it has to do with pristine, but Google told me it did. So next time you tell me, oh, I Googled it, so it must be right. Nope, because that doesn't mean pristine. That means nightmare fuel. So you're welcome. And what is that doll so suspicious of? It's a good question. Rescind. To rescind is a verb. To rescind something is to take it back or to cancel it. It is almost always a verbal or a contractual idea. You don't like give someone a present and rescind it, although I guess you could, but usually you would just say take it back. A contract, however, an offer, if you said, I am now giving you this contract to join our team, whatever, as an athlete, right? They can rescind the contract. I mean, they take it back, you don't get to sign it, it's no longer a deal. It's the little mayor down here. He says, I know that we gave you the key to the city. I'm going to have to take that back now. He is rescinding the offer of the key to the city. Right? To kind of noseless Superman. There we go, daunting. It's an adjective. It's almost always used to describe a task. Now, if something is daunting, it seems extremely difficult and overwhelming, almost impossible to do. You look at, oh my God, I have so much homework, it's daunting. How will I ever get this done? That is a daunting task, your homework, okay? If you feel overly intimidated, if you feel like it cannot happen, you are daunted, which is kind of interesting. But there you go. Hopefully you don't get daunted. Hopefully you go, boo, I can do it, and you charge right in. Crude. It's an adjective, but it has kind of a few definitions depending on the context. Neither one's nice. Neither one's a compliment. If something's described as crude, often when you all hear it, it will mean that it is rude or it's gross. Crude behavior would be belching or, letting one rip at the dinner table. That's crude. So if it's behavior, it's going to be that. But if a thing is crude, usually, though not always, it could still be like rude or gross. Usually it's roughly made and without much skill. It does the job of being the thing, but just barely. So like right here, it has crude Stone Age tools. They basically look like rocks, but like one's a hammer and one's an axe and one's a knife. But basically they're rocks which are slightly pointier than one another. Like, yeah, okay, I guess that's an axe, but just barely. It's pretty crude. Now, crude can also describe something in its most raw state. All right, like oil. If they talk about crude oil, it's oil. It came right out of the ground. You can't put it in your car. You can't. It's not gasoline. It's not motor oil. It has to be cleaned and refined, things like that. It's as raw as it can possibly be. Now we're going to be focusing on these first two definitions. You'll be able to tell from context which one's being used, though. All right, clairvoyant. This is an adjective. Someone who is clairvoyant can see into the future. They may also use it as a noun, saying that they are a clairvoyant. So, it's something that people lie about being able to do. Yeah, take that, Long Island medium. You suck. You're a monster and a charlatan, and you rip people off who are sad. Truly, truly, bottom of my heart, the Long Island medium is a terrible human being. Anyone who says they can reach their deceased loved ones to make money is, a monster. And if she could really see in the future, she'd know that her hair was lame. Oh, take that. Take that, Long Island medium. Didn't you know I was going to make fun of you? You can talk to dead people, but you can't see into a mirror? You suck. You're the worst. All right. Facetious. Ooh, was I being facetious? No, I was being serious. It's an adjective. If someone is being facetious, or if an attitude or an action is facetious, someone is treating something serious lightly or flippantly. They're not really being serious. You say to them, whatever, oh, you have a bunch of homework tonight. And you go, well, it's a good thing I don't do homework. The teacher might go, you should do it. If you're being facetious, it's usually not a good thing. If you don't take seriously something serious, and you put on an attitude about it, you can actually find yourself in quite a bit of trouble. So maybe get ready to do some apologizing. Next, AMOK. It's an adverb. And we never get adverbs, so that's kind of exciting. It's not a general adjective, remember. Adjective describes an adjective describes a noun of some kind. An adverb describes a verb, right? Add adjective, add verb. So there you go. Now, if something is amok, it's wild and it's out of control. It's gone totally crazy. Weirdly, it's almost always used next to the word run, as in it's crazy out there. Everything has run amok. It's cats and dogs living together. And there's zombies going down the street. They are running amok. I really like this drawing a lot. The run amok, they're just all going nuts. It's a good one. So, adulterate. Oh, excuse me. It's a verb. To adulterate something is to add something that makes the original thing worse. So, if there was juice and I added a bunch of salt into it, I have now adulterated the juice. I added something less good into something that was already good, and I made it not as good anymore. But here's a weird thing. You almost never hear it as adulterate. You almost always hear it instead used in a negation, and you hear it used as an adjective. If something is described as unadulterated, what they're saying is no one messed with it. It's the original, and nothing bad's been added to it. So pure, unadulterated orange juice, or whatever it is. My unadulterated opinion. Here it is. I'm giving it to you straight. This is exactly what I think. I didn't change anything about what I think, right? So to adulterate something is to make it worse by adding something of less value, as it says here. I'm not real sure what this is supposed to be an illustration of. I guess it's the idea that the pond was nice and then someone threw trash in it, so they've adulterated it. That kind of makes sense. Yeah, the litter adulterated the environment, but that's a little wonky to me. That's okay. All right, digress. It's a verb. To go off from the original topic into something just barely related, all right? You go off on a wild tangent. But here's a weird thing. You almost always hear it in the phrase, but I digress. When someone has started down a tangent that's a departure from their original point, and then they take a sudden U-turn back to their point. They're talking about whatever, how fun their weekend was, and then they start talking about how expensive gasoline is, and they go off on this whole thing about oil production in the United States and drilling in Alaska or whatever, and then they go, well, but I digress, and they get back to talking about how good their weekend trip was. Yeah, that's something people do actually quite a bit, but they almost always say, but I digress. Listen for it. People say it all the time. It's very strange. All right. Last is ethereal. This is a nice one for us to end on. It's an adjective. If something is ethereal, it has an exquisite beauty that feels delicate, it feels light, it feels fragile. It's too perfect to be earthly. It's magical. It's heavenly. An ethereal beauty is one that kind of takes your breath away. But it's important to note that it's delicate, that it has a certain almost intangibility to it. Like if you were to touch it, you would ruin it. So bubbles would be a really good example. They're so lovely and so beautiful and so magical seeming. And if you touch it, if you try to capture it, it will disappear. You'll ruin it if you try to catch it. You'll adulterate it, dare I say? Or am I going on a tangent? Or am I being facetious? Have I run amok with what I'm saying here? Am I just off on my a digression here? Digression would be the noun form of digress. Or did I just want you to see this again? Oh, God. Oh, so scary. So scary. All right, say these words. Good luck.